about the KKK rally shootout down in Middletown, which is right across the field over here. You could see it about a mile across the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I was raised in the house next door. That's my well, both these are my houses, but we were living next door. And so we were sitting in the living room with my mom in the den with my dad, and my dad came in and said we had to turn the lights out. He said that there was shooting going on, the KKK and a group of black people. A car had gone by and they had shot at them. 4th of July weekend, and then the blacks went and got another group, and they came. So they were on one side of the street, and the KKK were on the other side of the street, and the police were in the middle. You could see the gunfire in the distance.
Really?
Right, the sparks, because it was dark. And my father, to know him, never carried a gun. He had a whole hunting gun, squirrel gun that he didn't even keep in the house. You know, he'd hunt with it. I don't even know if it was buckshot or whatever. But he came in the house and he told my mom that to turn the lights out and what was happening. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, we gotta sit in the dark and watch TV. It's 4th of July. You know the show's on. She said, you know what you know who the KKK are, don't you? I was like, yeah. She said, well, they're having a meeting down there and there's shooting going on because there are people, the blacks on one side and they're over there and they're shooting, and we got to keep the lights off because they might drive through and shoot through the house. So my dad, cousin Robert, the one that she said she got in their car when we were at the meeting, cousin Robert, cousin Willie Lee, all the men in the neighborhood, you know, they came out and they kind of gathered and said they were going to keep a watchful eye. So my dad came in and got in a rocking chair. That's where he sat. And he had this gun and he put it across his lap and he just rocked for, 2 solid hours looking. It was quiet. Summertime, hot. And I was like, what? I said to my mother later, and she would always tell me the truth. Why does he have that gun? He doesn't have a gun. He's with a gun. She said, well, there might be some trouble. He said he's just prepared and he's trying to protect us. And I sat and watched him, and he just rocked and rocked with that gun across his lap. And someone would come to the back door, one of the men in the neighborhood, like they were keeping watch. And they would knock on the door and make sure everything was all right. And my grandfather was living here at the time, but he was sick. So he said, I'm going to go over and check on Papa. Put the gun, he carried the gun with him. And then when he came back, he sat in the chair and he just rocked and rocked. And I kind of understood what was going on. I knew that it was a fearful time, but I didn't fully understand it until I was older, that it was a KKK and they meant us harm, and because we were so close, right? And that my father, who was a deacon and God-fearing man, was sitting in the house rocking with a gun, really, I had to ask questions about it.
Yeah.
And my mother was honest enough to tell me what was going on. But the next day, the sun came up, everything was shining, didn't see the gun anymore, and we went on, as usual. But that night, when people think about it, we talk about it. And I was like, have you ever experienced any racism directly at me? And I'm like, no, but we lived in an environment that I knew that it existed. And you didn't go here, and you didn't do that, and you didn't say this. Why are we going to this people back door? This woman comes to our front door. Why did we? It's just the way it's done.
Yeah.
Right? So that was a story of that night and what they talked about today.